Hello everyone, this is Jasmina, and in this video I'm going to basically give you an overview of how Chinese metaphysics works. Now, some people appear to have this belief that if you use Chinese metaphysics, somehow it's magical and your life will improve automatically. That is not the case. Reality is very far from this idea. You will not improve your life if you don't do something to improve it. And this is true whether or not you use Chinese metaphysics. Now, Chinese metaphysics can help improve the ability, or let's say it improves the response you get to improving your life, to doing something to improve your life. That is the key. It multiplies your effort, or at least it looks like it does. Now, Bazi is one of the big ones in Chinese metaphysics. It basically allows you to understand your natural skill set, what you were born with. And this will allow you to take advantage of what you can most easily do. Of course, most people have it by the time they're well into their teens, they have a decent idea what they can do easily and what they can't do easily. But this can also help you avoid or at least make sure somebody else helps you with the stuff that you're not good at. And this is really important if you want to open your own business. You may have fantastic ideas. You may be able to actually create the product that is better than everybody else's. But if you don't know how to sell, nobody's going to buy. So you do the stuff you're good at, and you hire somebody else to do the stuff that you just simply can't do or that you really dislike doing. This is what Bazi can give you. Now, Qi can tell you a bit more about yourself, not so much your skill sets, but how you deal with life. But it is also often used for manifestation. So that can help you get the motivation to be able to do something that you want to do for some time. And again, it does tell you a bit more about how you work as a person, and this can help you decide what you need to do so that you can grow as a person, become a better person, become a better boss, become a better employee, become a better parent or spouse. So it can be used for anything, but you have a better understanding of yourself, then you can use that to be able to see things in a way that you can improve yourself. Now, feng shui is also used to improve the results of your effort that you put in to improving your life. And you do have to do this pretty much in your house. If you only work at work, then it's the feng shui of your workplace that's important, not your house. So, but most people do at least something at home that involves work. Sometimes it's just thinking about it or learning something new. That's usually what you learn, or what you do to improve your work life, is you learn something at home that helps. And it's important, if you have good feng shui, that whatever you learn, you find is useful. Now, date selection can also improve your chances of having success in new things, new endeavors. Sometimes it's not absolutely needed. Actually, if you take all these three things into account, oftentimes you find that you just pick the right date, because these things give you the luck you need, that you don't need to do date selection. Now, Bazi tells you again what is your strongest and weakest skill sets. People who lack an inspired job, they don't feel inspired in life, they often have a balanced Bazi. And I do think that people have unbalanced Bazi often have a much easier time in finding things that inspire them, because they often do certain things a lot better than they do other things. So one thing is easy, everything else is hard, or at least harder. So they automatically focus on the thing they do easily, and that's great. But if you have a balanced spot, so you actually can do everything more or less equally well. So it's really hard to figure out which one you want to do. And so that, you would think, oh, this is great if you can do everything equally well. It is, but this often leads to a lack of inspiration because you don't feel super motivated in one particular direction. Now, people who have a balanced Batsa need to run with some career. I mean, they need to choose a career. Oftentimes they've had several different jobs. If they have a job that they don't hate, maybe they don't love it, but they certainly don't hate it. And there is no job that everybody loves everything about it. There's always nasty things about every single job that's out there. It's just that on the whole, you have to like it. When you have a career like that, if you become the expert, if you learn and really become the best person in the company in that given career, first off, people will come to you for help, and that will get you known as someone who can give you the answers. This gives you a promotion, gives you more money. It allows you to even learn more if you want to. And this just kind of keeps rolling and things get better and better. And you actually find inspiration by being the one who knows the answer. And people will appreciate you. This is how to live an inspired life with a balanced Batsa. Now, there are people that don't exactly have a balanced Batsa, but they have like two pieces of their elemental breakdown that are quite close to one another, 5–10%, and everything else is a lot lower. These people often find they like one job for one aspect, and they like a different job for a different aspect, and they can't find a job that combines the two. If you're really creative, you might be able to create a job that does that, but there are easier ways to deal with that. One of these things, and it's usually one that's slightly higher, this becomes your job that you work for others. It's your career. The other aspect becomes your side gig or even a hobby that you can be very passionate about. And together, you live a full life. And oftentimes when you're passionate about a hobby, it can become a side gig and can earn you money. So there's nothing wrong with having two different aspects of your life. Oftentimes they have to be separate. If you're lucky, you'll be able to combine them. Now, the elements, this is how you understand the Batsa. It's by your elemental breakdown. They indicate more of your skills than they indicate an industry you should be in. I have heard people ask, what industry should I be in based on my Batsa? They don't ask me because I'm not a Batsa expert, and I make that clear. But maybe that was true at one time, a long time ago. Things were maybe a little more compartmentalized. But nowadays, it doesn't really make sense because all jobs can use all of these skills. So you will have 5 different elements in your chart, and they will have different levels. Now the wealth, this isn't, maybe not everybody calls it this, but the wealth will be the element that your day master controls. Now, if you don't know what your elemental breakdown is and you don't know what your day master is, you're going to have to watch some other videos to understand this. But this is the element your day master controls. So you don't have to have it labeled as wealth. You will still know what it is. These people are good at organization. So they do make good leaders. They make extremely good high-level secretaries. And actually, there's some real advantages to that. if you can keep your boss organized, and most good bosses are more inspirational than they are organizational. You know, they need a secretary to keep them organized. And you can become quite well off. I mean, you're not going to become super wealthy, but you certainly won't be wanting for money if you are very good at organization and that you help somebody keep their life organized. If there's something goes wrong, they're the ones who get blamed. You usually don't, because they will more likely be the one who screws it up. So there is some real advantages here, you know, to being the one who organizes everything, but you're not the one who has to carry it all out. The influence is the element that controls your day master. If you have this, you're good at inspiring others. So you have the capability of becoming like a TikTok star, perhaps, or on YouTube, you could become, you know, a big influencer. This is a possibility. Now, you're competing against a lot of people who are also very high in influence, so you have to be fairly high in this. You can inspire others by being a good boss, where you don't have to be on social media. So this is good for a lot of different things. The resource element is the element that produces your day master. And if you have a high level of that, you're a quick learner and you can become an expert pretty easily. So when I talk about this, we're looking for which one of these 5, and I'll have 5 at the end, which one of these is your highest element. This is where your strongest skill is. Now for output, this is the element your day master produces. So if you have a high level of that, you tend to be a performer. You enjoy helping people. Actors, politicians, motivational speakers, they often have a high level of the output because they're more focused out than in. And then finally, there's the companion. And this is the same element as your day master. And this is good at interacting with other people. They enjoy being around people. They enjoy helping people. And they can act as a kind of a cohesive glue to keep a group of people together. And you don't have to be the boss to be able to do this. If you're part of a team, you can keep the team cohesive by having a good companion level. Now, again, this will tell you what you're best at, whichever one of these is your highest level. And you can see, if you look at this, every business out there can use people that have these skills. It doesn't matter what type of industry you're in. Every industry can use people with these skills. And this is what makes society function, is you've got different people doing different things and doing things well. Now, these skills mean nothing unless you use them. So if you choose not to be employed, I mean, if you're healthy enough and capable of being employed, but you choose not to, it makes it much harder to use your skills. Some of these, for example, the performer, that maybe you can be good at that and not be employed and can still be helpful. But in general, if you don't use these skills, you don't have improvement in your life. When it comes to Qigmen, it also analyzes your personality, but it talks more about what is your natural mode of interaction with people, and how best can you use this to help your life. You find this largely in your guardian spirit, which is called the guardian destiny by many people. And this again indicates your strongest aspect of your personality. So a chief can do anything. Now, if you have a balanced chart, especially a highly balanced chart, and you have the chief, you may have the hardest time to become inspired. because you tend not to have challenges. Everything is relatively easy for you. And and if you have no challenges, it's hard to grow. So um, you just do what you can. Do as much as you can if this is the case. You have a balanced spatza and you have the chief. And so you just help people as much as you can. This is the best thing to do with the chief. Now, the heaven, which is also called nine heavens, you can visualize things. You can visualize almost anything. People that have this as their guardian spirit, they're really good at the beginning of a project. They can envision the whole project. And they're also really good at the end of the project by doing all the little details, making sure everything is good at the end. It's in the middle that they often have difficulty because they can lose interest, because there's a lot of, let's say, grunt work involved, a lot of things that aren't terribly interesting, things that are behind the scenes that no one will ever see, and that can make it hard for someone who's so visual to see the point. Then you'll have people that have the harmony spirit. They have a lot of empathy. They have the ability to help others, especially emotionally. They're really good at connecting with people. Then you have the earth. The earth has the ability to create things, physical things. So if you are a person with the heaven as your guardian spirit, and you find someone with the earth as their guardian spirit, together you can do a lot more than either one of you can do separately. So sometimes it requires connecting with other people to make the most of your guardian spirit talents or aspects. Now, the moon, very, very good at gaining knowledge quickly and deeply. It's, it's not like you just know a little bit, you actually know a lot about a subject that you study. These people often become academics because this is that they appreciate this, they feel good when they know things. It makes them feel probably a little more secure. So they're not the most active people, but they're the people who know, they're the people to go to when you want to know something new. Now, the snake is sort of interesting. There's a lot of intuition with the snake. They often, at least in some aspects of their life, they can be ahead of the trend because they have an intuition that this is going to be big in the future. They may not always recognize it, but if you find yourself ahead of the trend often, you might have the snake as your guardian spirit. And you might not know it, but that could be the case. When they get to a very high level, they're supposed to be able to manipulate the environment, at least locally. But honestly, that's usually not of much use. But they can also perhaps avoid nasty accidents. It may not seem convenient. They may have screwed up, but because of the screw up, they miss a big accident, that kind of thing. I mean, they have this, even if it's not something they know, they have an ability to somehow be at the right place at the right time. So this is a pretty good one to have. It's not good. Now these five here, if you're doing a forecast, are all good. The snake isn't good for a forecast, but it's totally okay if you're talking about a guardian spirit. And most people get a little worried, and I just want to clear up that forecasting and understanding yourself through the guardian spirit is totally different. Now the hook, it has the ability to manipulate others, and if they use it right, it's to sell to other people. Now, most parents who have a child who have this as their guardian spirit recognize fairly early on that their child is a bit too manipulative, and they tend to try to stomp that down. And as a child, this is good that your parent does that, because as a young child, you simply don't have the mental capacity to not hurt others. Maybe you don't realize it's going to hurt others. Perhaps you don't care, but you may care, but it's just that you have this ability, so you're going to use it. And especially if you're not an only child, this is painful in the family. Now, if you don't have a good parent and you have this, these are the kind of kids who can become bullies, or at least not liked, because the rest of the kids will realize this is the kid that makes me do things that get me in trouble. So this is a tricky one. You may have this skill and not know it, because your parents may have been good and tamp this down enough that you don't know you have it anymore. Now, the Phoenix has what is called the gift of gab. Obviously, I do not have the Phoenix. I do not have the gift of gab. These people are very articulate. They can also sell very well, but the hook tends to sell through manipulation or sell through fear. That is, you need this or something bad will happen. Whereas the Phoenix has, you need this because it's cool, or it's a really interesting thing to have. People will want it because it looks good. They don't fear anything, but it's just something they want to have because they want to have a certain appearance or something along that line. Now, the tortoise, this has the ability to influence other people's emotions, but they also can feed off of other people's emotions. That is, they can sense other people's emotions, and unfortunately, they can pick up on them. And so if they're around depressed people, they often become depressed, this kind of thing. But if they're strong enough, they can make a depressed person feel better. But it's also very draining. So a tortoise is one of the more difficult guardian spirits to have, unless you can become a strong person, because this is, emotions become your life. Now, the tiger is quite interesting. This involves energy and physical strength, which is a fantastic thing, because you can't do anything if you don't have energy. So, but people who have the tiger spirit often aren't very good at desk jobs because they just have too much energy. But they're so good at so many other jobs. So that's perfectly good. And I mean, this isn't exactly an aspect of your personality, perhaps. It's just an aspect of your energy level. I mean, maybe that's personality. It's a little hard to say. But this is the biggest aspect of this guardian spirit. Now, you will see most of these in your chart, but you will only have one guardian spirit. If you were born between winter solstice and the next year's summer solstice, you will have the hook and the phoenix in your chart. They may or may not be your guardian spirit. If you were born between summer solstice and the next winter, that same year's winter solstice, you're going to have tiger and tortoise. So this is just the way it is. It doesn't really mean anything. But this is, to find your guardian spirit, you're looking at your natal chart, the chart for the time at which you were born. And this is sometimes called the destiny chart, although it really isn't your destiny. It's what you do with it that will determine your destiny. Now, beyond paying attention to your strengths, in terms of your personality, Chimin Dunja is often used for at least some people to manifest. And you should be manifesting for better opportunities to use your innate skills. you don't want to manifest that other people get hurt, because oftentimes you can't do it and it just leads to frustration. What you need to do is manifest to become a better person yourself. Now, not everybody has a strong ability to manifest. It is all based on your elemental breakdown, and I do have other videos that talk about this. There are people that have no ability to manifest using Shimen. However, bots of manifestation can be used by everyone. The advantage of the Shimen manifestation is you can use it every day if you have at least a medium level of manifestation ability, whereas Batsa really only works well on certain days. So you have to not miss those days, and they don't come terribly often. Some come more often than the others, but the really good ones don't come very often. So you really want to use the Batsa manifestation days when they come. And that applies to everybody. And if you have a decent level of manifestation ability in Shimen, you can use it every day too. But you don't have to. If you don't have any problems, there's no reason to use it. This is to help you get out of a difficult situation. Now, manifestation is not magic. Like all of Chinese metaphysics, it is not magic. You can manifest for more opportunities to apply your skills, or more opportunities to have a job, or to get a raise, or a big promotion, or even a little promotion. You can manifest for better health and better relationships. But without effort on your part, nothing will come to fruition. It is not magic. You have to put in effort after you manifest. And if you get, this is one big thing. I mean, people love manifestation, or at least a lot of people do. You just don't manifest. You manifest and then you do something to make your manifestation become activated, basically. You have to do something. Now, feng shui works in a slightly different way. If you have two people who have the same birth chart, now there are roughly 30,000 or more people who have your identical birth chart. You probably don't know any one of them, but that's how many people are being born in every 2-hour window, basically. So there's like 30,000 people in the world that are identical to you with base skills. Now, of course, they'll have different childhoods than you. They will have different opportunities based on where they live. But let's say they're equal too. If you have one person move into a house with good feng shui and another person had the same opportunity, same everything, they're starting out at the same point, but they move into a house with poor feng shui, the person who moves in the house with good feng shui will have a better return on any effort they put in. The person in the house with bad feng shui will still get return on their efforts to improve their life. It will just be at a lower level. So basically, if you want to have an easier life, you are looking for a house with good feng shui. That's the whole point here. You get rewarded, whatever you do gets rewarded better. So basically, you want to aim for a house. If you're looking for a new house, you want to aim for a house that has an activated special formation in the flying stars. And there are 4 particular ones I'll talk about in just a little bit. These are the 4 you want to look for. You can have any one of them. Now, if you do nothing to improve your life, if you're in a house with these special formations activated, you tend to have a more stable life. That is less problems. Now, even so, if you have this, the house with an activated special formation, and you don't do anything to adjust for the annual stars or the annual afflictions, or you don't do anything to mitigate any shachi you may have, you will still be better off in a house that has an activated special formation, because all of the stars that in your star chart, your house's natal star chart, will be good. So, for example, Shaqi can't affect them. Shaqi can affect annual stars, but they aren't there all the time. Bad annual stars are not there all the time. So, you'll have more than half the stars are good. So, or at least not terribly negative. Now, the easiest special formation to get is the combo 10. And for activation, you just must not have any missing sectors. So that's relatively easy to find. Most houses are roughly rectangular or square. So this isn't terribly hard to find. A pearl or a parent string house, they require the correct landforms. They can have a missing sector without destroying it, but the landforms they require are different for the two different types of special formations. As long as you have mountains in the right spot, you're usually good because you can always add water. The 7-star robbery house requires the correct landforms, and they're no more difficult than these landforms. But the difficulty is it requires the correct layout of the house. And that is usually where things have the downfall. It is the hardest to find because it requires all these correct things to happen. So, this is the one that you're going to have the hardest time finding, but is also the strongest one. You have even better luck. This is still good, but it tends to only either affect your finances or affect your health and personal life. I think that in general, having a good health and good personal life is more important than having a lot of money, but you have to have enough money. And usually this house will give you enough money. It just won't make you wealthy. But unless it's the type that makes you wealthy, then you might not have the greatest family life, but it probably is better than if you don't have it with the same group of people. So it's still worth it to have it regardless of which one you have. Now, once you have found a house that has one of these special formations that's activated, that's a key thing, then you also do want to look at the Cheeman properties. You want to see that in the important locations, and that would include your main door, that there are at least some good Cheeman properties there. That gives you a boost. Otherwise, you may have good luck, but you may not feel very fulfilled, even though you're having good luck. And this is where the Cheeman properties can affect your life. Now, date selection is a bit different. It is not based on anything you do. It is external, completely external to you. It is best used to determine when to start a significant project, especially if you're not using anything else. This is a good thing to use. And it can apply to any aspect of one's life. It depends which one of the dates you use will depend on the properties of that given date. But there is no such thing as a perfect date. There's always some positive and some negative. Some days have more positive than negative. Some days have more negative than positive. Perhaps there are a few days that have only negative or only positive, but they're quite small in number. Now, determining what is the key aspect you need when you're trying to determine a good day, that determines what makes a good day. So, for example, if you're looking for marriage, if you want to find a day to marry, there are certain energies, which are called stars, that could be quite negative to use, and there are certain stars that are positive to use. You want to find a day that has the positive stars and none of the negative ones, basically. You will have negative ones, but they won't be negative in terms of relationships. That's what I'm getting at. Now, date selection cannot override your Batsa talents or your Chiman personality traits. Those are much stronger than date selection. And if you don't want to use date selections, there are methods you can use inside your house that allow you to ignore date selection because you are using a different pathway to have a good day to start doing something good. And it's actually usually not a day, it's a window of dates. And as long as you're doing something in the house, either a little bit of work, it doesn't have to be a lot, or if you're learning something, then you can use these special dates. And I have talked about this. And it's like combining 3 special locations in your house. It's there somewhere. This can be used instead of worrying about date selection. Now, I don't really do date selection. I've looked into it. I've even programmed some stuff that can reproduce the date selection. And this was before I found actually Chinese Metaphysics website does this for you. And I'm going to use that in the future. I'm certainly not going to bother with reprogramming everything every year. It's a real pain. But I still have a lot to learn about the stars. I mean, I understand the day officer and all this kind of stuff. But like I said, I don't rely on date selection. I rely on basically feng shui. Now, you might find that if you use these other aspects, that is, you use your Batsa talents and your personality traits to find the right type of work to do, and you use your house appropriately, and you're living in a house with a good formation, then you may actually find that the date you choose is a good date to use, and you don't even know it. But that's because these things are helping you find the right date. It keeps you from using the wrong date, let's put it that way. Now, again, the whole point of choosing or using Chinese metaphysics is to improve the results of the efforts you put into improving your life. No efforts, no improvement. Chinese metaphysics is not magic. I think I should put this in the beginning of every single video I've done. I may have to somehow stick it in. I don't want to redo all of them, but I really should put this in. No action means no outcome. If you get nothing else out of this video, this is what you need to get out of it. If you do nothing, nothing good will happen. Things will slowly deteriorate if you do no action. But because time goes on, the whole world moves on, you will have negative outcomes. But no action means no outcome. And also slowly deteriorating. So do something to improve your life. Do something to become better. Then using Chinese metaphysics makes sense. So that concludes this scolding, I guess. If you have any questions, you can email me here or leave a comment. And again, I'd like to thank you for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of the scolding, you should be congratulated. But this is very important for you to understand. You need to put in effort if you want your life to improve. It won't improve without effort. Thank you again for watching.